What's up, Canfield Nation? Steve Leslie, YSNLive.com from Coca's Pizza in Canfield. And again, hats off to Coca's Pizza and all they do for Canfield athletics, especially the football program. Sponsor the coaches' shows. We've had a great night with the golf coach and some golfers, joined by Richie Giuliano, but proud to be joined again by the head ball coach of the Canfield Cardinals, Mike Pavlansky. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it, Steve. Great to be out here again at Coca's. And, obviously going to reminisce a little about last Friday or last Thursday, and then, move on to this week. We've got a big challenge in front of us.
Well, let's reminisce a little bit. But before we go into that, I saw the interaction with the golfers and coach, and Toby's here, and Doc Duffett and his son's here. Canfield's a special place.
Absolutely.
I watched you from a background. Mm-hmm. Richie, you went to school there, the shaking hands. Coach, best of luck. Yeah. How special is that when you see other athletes from other programs? Talk about that a little bit.
I think that starts with their head coaches. I really do. We're fortunate we got a number of head coaches in the system that share athletes, that want to see student athletes do well in the fall, the winter, the spring. And, if you have coaches that don't want to share athletes, it's a tough go. It really is. And, from Mike Kerensky, Dean Conley, I'm going to miss guys, Todd McElroy, our soccer coach now, he does a great job allowing us to have soccer kids on the team. Our new wrestling coach, and met him over the summertime. And we really believe at the high school level, the more sports a person can play, the better off they're going to be. And I'm fortunate to be in Canfield, where that philosophy is carried throughout the whole athletic department, led by Mike Cochran.
Coach, I want to ask you a question first. As we reminisce back to Poland last night or Thursday night. Just talk about what you said to your brother after that game. I saw you gave him a big hug, as well as your entire family out there.
No, you just talked to him about, hey, you love him. There's no doubt about that. When we were coaching that night, and I said this all through the summertime, and I truly believe it. And, leading up to the game, I wasn't coaching. We weren't coaching against Tom. We're trying to figure out a way to beat their people. And, Tom did the same thing. So when plays are being called and decisions are being made, I didn't ever thought once during the game about my brother Tom. After the game, hey, love you, and be proud of your team. They played hard. I know they probably want some plays back, but they're going to have a really good season. That's a good football team we beat in the opener. And, and we both went and talked to our teams in the locker room, and then afterwards, Tom and I really enjoyed our weekend. Like I told you last week, we had about 80, some extended family members and from throughout the country. And, the celebration and the reunion celebration, I should say, started immediately after the game, and it lasted until Sunday. And boy, what a great weekend for our mom, our family. Appreciate what the Poland community did, the athletic department did for my mom and our mom. And, now it's time to move on.
With Coach Pav, Coach's Corner with Richie Giulianos. I'm Steve Leslie. Proud to be a part of Canfield football. Steve Coca and Coca's Pizza and their staff here, phenomenal appetizers. It's a great thing to do. I love this Wednesday night, Coach, with you. But I wanted to ask, Mom, I saw a lot of great pictures. You brought it up. Poland did a great job of, I don't want to say promoting that game, doing it the right way and having Mom on the field and pictures after the game. I don't think general sports fans understand how special that is when a big family like yours could come to one place with family members all over.
We talked about that all weekend long, Steve. You're exactly right. Generally at our age,
sure,
you start seeing people at one spot, and it's usually not a happy spot.
No.
It's not a fun weekend there. This was a celebration of our dad, our mom, our upbringing in Poland, and, capped off by a Poland-Canfield game. Oh, my gosh. When that game's played, and Tom and I firmly believe this, it's not about a name on the field. It's not about who the coaches are. That game's special because of the people that play in the game. It's special because of the schools, and it's certainly special because of the community support, and what a great crowd that was on both sides.
Yeah, it was a great crowd, no doubt. Richie, you called the game with Gary Nitto. I'll get it over to you. Again, shout out to your family, to your mom, to your brother Tom. I thought he handled himself very well in a situation that everybody wants to win. There's no question about that, but nothing but respect for him and their football team, the way they handled themselves after that game for your family and the celebration that, let's face it, could only be for one team, and Canfield was the better team last night. I'm sure your brother would say that, and you move on. But jump into that game, and I know Richie's going to jump into it. The big part for me was the young man that we just had on a little bit ago, the player profile, Toby Smith. Now I'm doing the Ursuline game where there was a score like every 4.3 seconds, I think, against Heart Lake. I think they're still scoring now as we talk. But when I would put it on, I'd see Toby Smith all over the field.
Yeah.
And then I go to, I want to say it was their first drive. I know you're going to talk about this. I think they were driving the ball pretty well down near the goal line. He made a couple huge plays. And from that point, I think he was the guy that helped your younger kids ease themselves into a big-time rivalry.
No doubt. And that's what we expect from Toby. Toby's a 3-year starter for us on the defensive side, first-year starter. I was off fullback and played some fullback last year with Samarone, captain this year for a reason. Our guys selected him because they know what type of leader he is, what type of player he is, the passion he brings to the game. And certainly we were on our heels in that first drive. And they got down to the 1-yard line, and, Brock makes a big hit coming off the edge, but then Toby got through on the third down play and sacked Fulton and, forced them to kick a field goal. And what just a great goal line stand that was, not to give them 7 points and allow us to have some, we can get a stop when we need to. And, after that, I really thought our defense played, really well for an opener. I think they'll be the first ones to tell you we got to play a whole lot better this week, and especially in a tackling department. And if we do that, we're going to have a chance.
Now, I was going to talk to you about Brock Lowry. You already mentioned him. How well was he on offense? But just talk about his defensive play.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Brock's a special player. I think everybody recognizes that on our football team, our coaches, and if anybody was there Friday or Thursday night, they saw it too. He's a big-time defensive player too. And, he played at that level. It's what we expect these guys to do. Our seniors that are starters, first returning starters, we expect them to play at a high level and bring everybody else along with them. And that's no different for Brock. Brock has a role to play on our team. Brock doesn't have to be anybody that he's not. He don't have to be somebody else. He needs to be Brock Lowry, and that's good enough for us.
Now talk about this upcoming week against Dover. I mean, this is historically a big rival outside of conference for Canfield and Dover. Just talk about what you've seen from the Tornadoes this year so far.
Yeah, it's turned into a really good football game, and it's the 8th time we're going to be playing them since 2009. And, Dan F., their head coach, is a great guy, and we've talked before. If we were closer, we'd be playing every year. And but we took a couple-year hiatus there and got them back on the schedule because we're both unfortunately independent now. And I think for the foreseeable future, you'll see Dover on our schedule. Not too sure what to expect from them because the scrimmage we saw against Ashland, they played a half of a game, threw the ball about 30, 35 times, ran the ball 2 or 3 times, and was beating Ashland at halftime 42-0. And then you turn around, and we turn on the tape from Mentor Lake Catholic last week. They beat them 43-7. They threw the ball 6 times and ran it like 40, 50 sometimes. So you don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, at any level, you got to stop the run. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do our best to stop the run, make them one-dimensional. But then again, when they're one-dimensional throwing the football, they're pretty effective.
Yeah, we talked about how effective their offense is, and obviously you went down there last year and put it on them, so I'm sure you're going to get a football team come up very hungry. I go back to Brock Lowry. You've coached so many good players at Canfield High School in your time, and Brock Lowry's and the Toby Smiths. And how does that feel for you as a head coach to see these guys starting to get, I don't want to say they're just dues, but starting to get those colleges looks? Where does Coach Pav fit in and try to help those guys out?
I think our role is to guide them. I think the worst thing a coach can do is tell a young man, hey, you're a D1 kid when you're a D3 kid.
Yeah.
If you throw, falsehoods at them, they're not going to trust you anywhere. I think our coaches do a great job of evaluation. Hey, here's your size. I love every one of our kids, the effort they give. But if you're not 6'5", 6'6", the Power Fives are going to look at you as an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. All right. So it's the measurables. But we get them to camps. We give them an opportunity to go to camps in June and July. And, hey, here's the camps you should attend.
Right.
All right. And then as they go through that process, in the fall, we're going to games. Hey, try to make a college game at a school that's really interested in you and try and make it around film so you're not missing a team activity there on a Saturday morning. Sometimes that's not possible because the drive's so long.
Sure.
And I think our kids are doing a great job of scheduling their visits. The first thing we're going to do is always be truthful with them. Okay. I'll be honest with you. Those guys that played Thursday night, the effort, college coaches love that effort.
Sure.
Right. But college coaches love the effort when you're 6'6".
Yes.
And you're not 5'10". And so therefore you've got to be honest with them. And, hey, we had some great players last year. And, the one story right now is Ethan Fletcher. Yes. Ethan Fletcher went to Mount Union. Okay. And right now, if the last word we got, he's been removed from the freshman team, and he's the number 2 inside slot for a national title team.
That's not surprising.
No, it's not surprising at all because we know who Ethan Fletcher is.
Right.
Okay. Can Ethan Fletcher play at a higher level? His athleticism says yes, but his body's 5'9", 170 pounds. That's not there.
I am so glad that I brought this up to you because I think that's today's society. Go where you can help somebody win football. Go where you can get an education. A football game at Ohio State, is phenomenal, but a football game at a Mount Union or Washington and Jefferson, those are great places to go play. And I think that's one of the things for me that kind of gets me down a little bit when you see, and I'll use Fletcher as an example. There's a young man that deserves to play college football, no doubt, whether it's up here in Power 5 or at Mount Union. That young man will be skilled. And, I remember him, Richie, from doing games with us. That's why I asked you that question, because I know how much it means to you. And you're that guy. Honesty in today's world is worth $1 million. When you could be honest and upfront, you're a good football coach, and you, my friend, are one of the best ones around.
Well, I appreciate that, but we're really good because of the guys around us. There's no doubt about that. Fortunate with the staff, fortunate with the players that we have. If I would tell her one of our players, hey, listen, you can play at this school. They go sit for 5 years and coach. I could never play here. And they come back. Why'd you send me there? Why'd you advise me to go there?
Right.
When I could say I could have played at this school for 4 years.
Right.
Hey, it's about an education.
Sure.
It's about your future. Okay. And it's about creating memories in a college level for 4 or 5 years, because very few people are going to get to the next level.
Yeah, that's.
Don't look down to that next level when you're in high school. Get to college, and then the colleges help you get to that next level if you want to.
No question.
I'm going to go back to your current football team. I wanted to ask you this question after the game, but I saved it for tonight. Yeah. Your line came out, and they played really well against a very experienced Poland offensive and defensive line. They got a lot of push. Just talk about your younger line's performance.
We were excited about their effort, to be honest with you. When we did the grades, probably not at the top where we needed to be. We told our guys after the game, we said it again after films after we graded everybody, we won that game for one reason. The effort was unbelievable. I've been part of great wins and even some tough losses in Canfield. I can't remember a better effort than our guys gave last Thursday night. There may have been some on par with them, but these guys were as good as they could be in an effort category. Now, this week, if we can be great effort-wise and we can improve our assignments, our calls, be a little bit more physical, we're going to give ourselves a real good chance Friday night.
My guy, player profile Toby this week, my man Bowen. That young man was I enjoyed listening to him last week. We talked about that, to talk about he was the senior lineman. And again, I love talking to your kids because they are part of a team. Mm-hmm. And when he told me that, Mr. Leslie, and I think he told you, Richie, I am not going to be the last lineman that plays at Canfield. Right. That kind of tells you where this football team is headed. And he led the way there watching that a little bit. Your young guys were fantastic. But, man, I'm going to tell you, when you have a Toby Smith and you have a Bowen and you have a Brock Lowry, it's a lot easier for some of those young guys to step up and follow in and say, I'm not – if he's that good and working that hard, I'm not going to get outworked.
No doubt about that. These guys you just named give great effort every day in practice, and it rubs off on the younger guys. When those guys leave, a Nick Bowen, a Toby Smith leaves, we will use them as examples for a long time of, hey, those guys played. They played every day in practice. They gave great effort for their teammates. That's the standard you got to live up to. And if you're not willing to live up to that standard, then remove yourself from the team, because that's what we're going to demand.
That answer.
My last question for you, Coach. How has this week of preparation been? You talked about how Dover ran the ball 100 times and then they threw the ball 100 times. Just talk about this week's preparation, how you guys are going to bounce back after a big rivalry win.
Well, again, that big rivalry win, there's no doubt about that. That's a memory for a lifetime. But if we don't forget about it, we're going to be unhappy Friday night about 10 o'clock. I compare that to the playoff games.
Yes.
You win a big playoff game. If you don't forget about it and prepare for the next one, your season's over.
Yeah.
Okay, if we don't prepare, we don't forget about and prepare for this week, we're going to be one-on-one Friday night. Okay, and obviously we don't want to do that. What do we have to do? The number one thing we got to do is control the football. We got to stay on the field like we did in the second half. The second half, I think we had the ball 18 minutes. The Poland's 6 minutes. Well, that's something that's got to happen because that keeps that high-powered offense off the field. And then number two is when they have the ball, we have to shut the run game down. If they can run it and throw it, we're really in trouble. If we shut the run game down, we got a fighting chance at this thing.
So I think like when they go defense on Mondays, it was an hour against 2x2 and 3x1, and then it was an hour against their power stuff. But no, Coach, week 1 to week 2, everybody talks about that's your biggest improvement week.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest thing you want to see this team improve on?
Well, again, assignment-wise, there was a lot of blown assignments, especially from the offensive side. Defensive side, we talked about it today after practice. We must be a better tackling football team. We didn't think that our tackling was at the par that we expect in Canfield.
Sure.
All right. We missed a lot of tackles. We had bad angles. That stuff's got to get improved Friday evening. We can improve in those two areas, tackling on defense and being assignment sound on offense. Okay. Again, come the fourth quarter, I think we'll be right there ready to give them a shot.
Yeah, Coach's Corner with Coach Pavlansky from Coca's Pizza. Every Wednesday night, Coach, we love doing this with you. We love having the players out. Steve Coca and your staff, first class once again at Canfield. Thanks for all you do for not only Canfield football, Canfield athletics. We'll have the game on YSN Live at 7 o'clock. We look forward to that. Coach, last one for you. You're one of those guys that has been around it a long time, as part of the Coaches Association, watches other teams play. I go to a young man, Jason Hewlett, who's being recruited by anyone that Power 5 all the way down. When you see a young man get an injury like that, and it's not your program, but I know you look at it, that could be your program in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
What comes to your mind when you hear kids go through that?
It was tough. We were fortunate to be at that game Friday night and unfortunately seeing that injury happen. You don't want anybody to get hurt, number one. Number two, it would really have been a shame if that had been his senior year.
Right.
And thank goodness young man's young. He's a junior, I believe, and he's going to rehab and get back and be a better football player next year for his teammates, and good things are going to happen for him. So, you always want to look at the positive. And the positive for Jason right now is that he has one more year of football, and he can look forward to that.
Well, that's a great answer from a great classic coach. Anything for you last minute here?
Good
I think that's about it. You got the play-by-play guy here, and I enjoy this. We'll be here next Wednesday night to talk about win number 2 when the Canfield Cardinals take it to Dover one more time over at Canfield Stadium. If you're not over at the game, come on over to Coca's. I know he'll have it on here, and we'd love to see more Canfield folk on Wednesday night to come over and sit and listen to you and some of the great athletes at Canfield High School. But on behalf of myself, Quinn, and Richie, best of luck to you, the staff, and the boys Friday night, and keep doing what Canfield does, and it's going to be one week at a time the way you know how.
Absolutely. 1 week at a time. Appreciate
All
it,
right,
Steve.
Coach.
Thanks. Richie, thank you.